Now, journalist Julie Cook revealed in a recent column that she's blunt with her partner when it comes to weight gain. She described noticing a slight paunch where her husband's flatter tummy used to be. And she told him, get yourself down the gym.
So the question we're asking this morning, should you call out your partner on weight gain, or is it simply something you shouldn't comment on? Joining us to discuss this, we have culture expert Nick Eade, who says we need to be honest with our partners. This is ultimately what healthy relationships are built on.
But actress Linda Lusardi says if you're in a loving relationship, it shouldn't matter what size they are. But Linda, of course, you are known for having a beautiful shape.
Well, it's not the same shape it was 20 years ago.
Right, and that's interesting. Yeah, so go on. So
well, I think
everybody's body changes.
Everybody's body changes, and if you had a husband that was telling you every time you put on weight, they'd be telling you every month if you're under 50, and if you're over 50, the menopause, you start to spread a little bit. It wouldn't be very nice. I wouldn't like to be told, you're fat, get down the gym.
I think there are ways that you can say you're in a good, constructive way. I don't see it as a bad thing. I see if you want to say somebody has put on some weight, then actually you're concerned about them. They're part of you. You know, you're with them for a long time as your partner. And I've turned around to my husband and said, you know, you've put on some weight. I've not said it in a sort of fat-shaming kind of way.
But do you honestly think your husband doesn't realise that he's put on weight? I mean, nobody's more conscious of their body than themselves. I mean, I know if I put on weight, so does my husband, and he's the first to say, I put on a bit of weight, and I say, no, you haven't, you look fine. He says, come on.
Yeah, but if you say, no, you haven't, you look fine, you're actually kind of perpetuating a little bit of a lie.
Well, no, because I love him whatever size he is.
Yeah, but for me, if someone says to me, oh, how do I look, or do I look fat today, I turn around and say, actually, yeah, you do look a little bit larger, because they...
Anyone, or just your husband?
Just to my husband. I mean, I wouldn't say it to anybody. No, Ben. But I think it's really important to be honest. It's honesty in a relationship. You've got to say that.
I mean, it's different if he asked me, but if he turned round to me when I was getting ready to go out and said, you've put on a bit of weight, I think you better get down the gym, that would be my evening absolutely ruined. I wouldn't want to go out.
Nick,
yeah, there's a time and a place.
When you've spoken to your husband and you've been honest about that, or he has been with you, has it ever been sort of painful? Has it ever been difficult to hear?
Yeah, I think it has. And I think, listen, I've been in relationships, Ben, when I woke up with somebody, or one morning we had coffee the next day, and he's like, oh, it's really funny, I've never dated a fat person before.
Wow.
And that was one of the worst... I know, Ranveer, I literally was like there going, OK, this is terrible.
This relationship might not have legs.
This won't last, and have your coffee and bye. But the other thing, too, is that... But Linda, I also thought to myself, actually, it was a wake-up call, and I had put on some timber, so I thought, actually, I am going to go to the gym.
But for some people, it wouldn't be a wake-up call. It would be a slap to their self-confidence. It could even start, you know, food issues, anorexia. You know, that people, if they think their partner's not going to fancy them anymore or going to leave them because they've put on a bit of weight, it could become a real mental issue to them.
I have seen couples, though, say where one of the partners has had some sort of health issue. I know they'll go, oh, I'm not allowed to eat that, my wife doesn't let me. You know, there is a bit of that in relationships, isn't there? As you get a bit older.
I think if it's a health issue, it's a health issue. Thing.
But health and vanity are two different things, I guess.
But potentially, it could become a health issue.
Right.
So surely you're sort of preventing something. And I fluctuate with my weight, and I'm like, actually, you know what? As we get older, we need to think about those things. We go and have tests, etc. So actually, to keep fit and healthy is a really important priority.
I totally agree with the health and, you know, keeping healthy and eating well. But if somebody's got a little bit of, which the reporter did, she just said it's a bit of a jelly belly on her husband, I don't think that needs to be pointed out.
But I'd rather do that within the sort of the four walls of my own home than some people who kind of shame people, like you just said, Ranveer. If somebody sort of shames about eating food, if you're going out with a group of people, oh, no, I'm not allowed that because they're on a diet, then it becomes a little bit difficult because you're actually sort of shaming someone. This is not about that for me. This is actually having a really adult conversation and saying, actually, we've put on weight, you've put on weight, I think we should discuss it.
And I think what it really highlights is that underneath all of this, that we have wrapped up weight with attractiveness so deeply that we now can't separate the two. We can't separate health from attractiveness, if that makes sense. It's like weight is this thing, isn't it, that we look at, and it's, you know, it's such a testy subject, whereas really what you're saying, Nick, is you can talk about weight in terms of health and it be a kind conversation, or you can talk about weight in a way that is shaming and hurtful and I don't find you attractive anymore.
Absolutely.
Underneath it. You might not say those things,
well,
but underneath
she
the
did,
surface.
didn't she? She said,
yes.
you know, you're fat, get down the gym.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I talk about weight, as you just said, from a kind point of view and actually a constructive point of view. Because if you ask somebody why they've put on weight and they might say, actually, you know what, I'm having a really tough time, and weight is, you know, going to eat more food is kind of an easier way than doing other things.
I think over 1 in 3 people in the UK are overweight at the moment. So there is obviously a problem.
We've had this email from Dom. My husband and I were getting ready to go to Friends. I had put on my support knickers. He looked at me and declared, flipping it, nothing should have to work that hard. I still laugh about it now. You know yourself when you need to lose a few pounds. Nothing wrong with your partner confirming it. I mean, what Dom's saying is
confirming it is a different thing. If I'm standing in front of the mirror and I go, look, oh, I've got a bit of jelly here and a bit, you know, a bit there, and you go, well, it doesn't matter. But he's not saying, no, you haven't. But if he turned around and said, oh, you got a bit of jelly hanging on you there, that would really upset me. I think it's the way that you do it.
It's the way you say it, the way you deliver it. You're not going to say it so brutally as that, but you need to open up a conversation if you think that actually both of you, or you are, or they are putting on some weight.
At some point, because a few people have come in and said, look, you've got to just be honest about these things, and we pussyfoot around it. But if somebody is overweight, telling them they're overweight, there's so much concern with people's feelings at the moment that actually you hide behind the reality of what they're facing. They're just overweight. They need to lose weight, and actually being honest with them and being brutal can actually, on some hand,
you don't need to be honest with them. They know. They're looking in the mirror themselves.
No, but you do need to be like that because you're lying to them otherwise.
Yeah, but you're
if
not
you say,
lying,
oh,
so
babe,
they
you look
can
absolutely
see.
amazing, when actually you want to say to them, actually, maybe you've put on some weight, and they are feeling insecure about themselves.
Do you honestly think that your partner doesn't know when he's put on a bit of weight?
I think, well, you said something about it sometimes feeling brutal. Mike on Twitter says, wifey, he called her, wifey tried on a dress once and said to me, do I look fat in this? Well, they say honesty is sometimes the best policy, so I told her straight, darling, you look fat out of it, so you're not going to look slim in it. And then he says,
brutal,
OK, I'll get my coat. Mike!
But there's relationships, though, isn't it? I mean, that's
there's
the point.
humour.
You've got to... It's like you're saying, Nick, you and your husband have a relationship where you can be honest about those sorts of things. Linda, you and your husband as well, you can be honest and you know how best to treat a scenario that might be sensitive.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't say to someone they look fat, go down the gym. You say, oh, why don't we go out running today?
Yes.
Or shall we start a diet? Because we're both putting on a little bit, aren't we?
But is that a bit... But if you say... Is that a bit passive-aggressive
I
when
think
you
it's
say,
passive-aggressive.
should we go on a diet? Because I feel like we could both do with losing a bit of weight when actually it might be Sam you're thinking,
No, I think that's a nicer way than saying, I don't fancy you anymore, you look fat, which is what...
I wouldn't say that to my husband. I fancy him whatever size he is.
Yeah.
Whatever size I am.
I think it's down to you as an individual. If you... Because some people are happy being overweight.
Well, we're on Twitter, of course, which is the arbiter of all debate. Is it rude to point out your partner's piling on the pounds? Is it rude? 37% said yes. 63% said no, it's not rude. It's not rude.
That's all it comes down to. Linda, lovely to see you, Nick. Thank you for joining us
Funny
this
enough,
morning.
I think there's 37% of the UK is overweight. I'm not sure if that is a direct correlation to our non-scientific Twitter poll.
The 63%, they're the ones that are trying to deal with it.